What's your story?
This is Jonathan Thomas, aka JT the Publicist, and this is my story.
Okay. So for a person who don't know, tell them where you from.
I'm from New Orleans, specifically New Orleans East, born and raised. Uh, I know the big question is always what high school did you go to, so I went to St. Augustine High School, home of the Purple Knights, and that is the foundation of my upbringing.
Okay. So going to St. Aug in New Orleans, a lot of people don't really I'm gonna discuss this. Like St. Aug has one great alumni. Like most successful athletes, entrepreneurs in New Orleans, and like most of them give back to the school. So like, how powerful of a black school do you think St. Aug is?
I believe it's one of the most powerful. I didn't get an opportunity to pledge Greek, but I believe that St. Aug is probably the closest thing to a fraternity. Based upon what I've seen, what I've experienced, the level of camaraderie and connections that I've gotten, from being a part of the brotherhood has been huge. And to your point, people like Leonard Fournette, Tyron Matthew, P.J. Morton, Jonathan Baptiste, man. I used to sing with John, during the holidays and stuff like that, and to see the trajectory and the growth that they've had in their careers is crazy. A lot of people don't know I went to school with Frank Ocean. Frank went to the St. Aug for a second. But all those relationships were developed there. So.
Okay. So, actually becoming publicist, I want you to kind of walk down your journey actually becoming a publicist.
Gotcha. I started off in the entertainment industry probably around the age of 8 or so, in front of the camera as an actor. The first movie I was in was Interview with the Vampire with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, and I, from a very early age, got into understanding the business side and the logistics of the entertainment industry. And then along the way, I gained mentors and people that were in the industry and was exposed to publicity and entertainment and sports. And there's one in particular that I always mention, a gentleman by the name of Hiram Smith, who I give lots of credit to. And I saw what he did, and it reminds you of that moment in the movie Wolf on Wall Street when Jonah Hill was like, whatever you do, I'll stop what I'm doing right now and come sign up. And, so it was one of those moments when I saw what he did, the type of people he was working with, the access that he had. And from there, I legit just kind of started following in his footsteps. Publicity, at the time I didn't know it, but publicity helped me get out of high school. I was struggling and never been a straight A student, but struggling at St. Aug. And one of my teachers gave us an opportunity to overcome some not so progressive habits that we had and with school and whatnot. And essentially he gave us a class project, and I wound up booking Oliver Thomas, who currently is the council member for District E, to come and speak to my class. And that helped me graduate from St. Aug. So I've been doing PR for a long time. So.
Okay, so and when I hear PR and publicist at first, I always thought of a female. So mainly PRs are like a lot of females and men that be publicists turn into managers and different things like that. Mm-hmm. So actually, what you think kind of helped you actually grow bigger and actually stay in that lane?
Probably just the early on learning the importance of relationships, and from different angles understanding how to add value. Product placement, everybody has a story, and helping people tell that story and how you relate to the public is very important. And early on I learned how to strategically tell those stories to add value and figure out a way where it would gain interest in the eyes of the media, in the eyes of different brands, in the eyes of different publics. And early on was able to kind of turn that into a business.
Okay. So being one publicist, for someone who don't know, who probably think it's an easy job, I want you to explain if the highs and the lows of being one PR.
Publicity, from a definition standpoint, if you're looking at Webster's, is probably more along the lines of helping someone garner a positive perspective or outlook on that individual in the eyes of the public. I've come to know publicity as just being a jack of all trades, helping pull people's visions together, more along the lines of production, event curation, literally helping people take what their vision is and bring it to life, while using their influence, while using their brand to make it happen. So it can range from writing press releases to putting events together, but at the end of the day, it's just really taking that person's brand and whatever their vision is and amplifying it on a whole nother level.
Right. So, like, have you ever, dealt with, like, times in your life when you had, too many clients at one time?
Yeah, we all, a lot of people share the successes, the highs in their careers, but the lows, the ebbs and flows have really helped me grow as a person, from taking on too many clients, not being able to deliver in some instances when the vision is, has been given. And I've learned a lot from downs, from a lack of communication, or just logistical aspects of putting events together, or not telling the story comprehensively to ensure that the media picks up on it. So I've had a lot of experiences where things didn't go right, but those moments where you are down and out and things don't go according to plan, that's what really helps propel you to become better and fine-tune your skills.
Right. So, realistically, being one publicist, and when you first meet a client, and most clients just expected to just pop off immediately. Realistically, how long does it take for you to really help them see growth in their brand?
It takes time, and that's a good question. Really getting to understand who a person is and how to tell a story, it's a process. And people are constantly evolving as you're helping them tell that story. As a publicist, you're constantly trying to find different angles to help that person's brand resonate, or help that person's brand appeal to the mass media or public. So it can take years, it can take months. But I think, with social media these days, and the ability to have all eyes on your brand at the click of a button or via a cellular device, it's been very helpful. It's innovative. And it's kind of the cheat code these days to helping people tell a story and develop their brand.
Okay. So, how important you think it is to be one publicist and have good relationships actually with the media?
Relationships are essential. Relationships, and also knowing what the media is looking for, being astute and up to date on current events, and understanding what the algorithm is essential. And having the innovation and ingenuity to be able to relate and connect what that person's brand is, or what their story is, or at the time if they're pushing a product or telling a story, opening a new business, how do you apply that to what's going on right now, in the media, or just in the culture is essential.
Gotcha. So, but I hear this a lot of times, if he's a PR, I'm a nightmare. So I want you to explain to the world, what's one PR, nightmare?
I think a PR nightmare is when expectations are delivered, but they aren't met. Expectations are explained or expressed, and they're not met in a timely manner or in the time frame in which it's been set within the contract. But like we touched on earlier, it's important for the client to know that it takes time. You have to have realistic expectations. Realistic expectations has a lot to do with the equation of figuring out how to appeal to the media, how to uh, grasp the attention of a new and emerging audience that you're trying to develop. So, PR nightmares can come in the form of, events that don't go according to plan because of the weather. There's just so many different aspects to it. But at Ascension Branding and Marketing, we try to do our best to ensure that nightmares don't come to life.
When I mean like PR nightmare, I'm talking about like people like Kanye. Like,
Gotcha.
you having a client that
Gotcha.
just gotta keep you on your heels. Like, have you ever had a client like that? You haven't seen their name or nothing.
I'm not gonna say any names, but I have had experiences where my blood pressure has shot through the roof because of situations where it's outside of my control. Whether it's a person that's being late or for a major event. I just specifically remember an event we had a ball player, first round draft pick. I'm not gonna say any name, but we had him booked to do an event with American Express. And they had him set to lock in for, I think, close to like $20,000 for a 2-minute appearance. And they were 2 hours late. And having to express and explain to the client why that person was late and your name is on it, it's a lot of pressure. So, dealing with those sorts of things, dealing with inclement weather and the outcome of an event, based upon ticket sales, dealing with, someone that may not be able to express themselves under pressure in front of the media on camera and having to go back and retract statements and fix that. I've dealt with it all. So, gotta be on your toes.
And clients don't realize that, like, when you become, when you take them on as a client, but your name is, like, very attached to them. So, if you're being late, not showing up, that can ruin that can ruin the PR's relationship that might not ever come back from that.
100%. You literally become an extension of your client. You become the voice and the face of your client or other brand. And it's important for you and the client to have a relationship where that's understood, but also you to understand your client. So if they're known for being late, make sure, you tell them to be there 30 minutes earlier. If the appointment or the interview's for 4:00, I'm telling them it's at 3:15, knowing they're gonna get there at 3:30. So, as a client, or rather as a publicist, you have to be ahead of it and be abreast of that sort of things.
Gotcha. So, being in PR media relationships over 10+ years now, what do you enjoy most about it, and what do you actually dislike about it?
At this point in my career, I think helping people find purpose and identifying who they are and what their contribution to the ethos is and helping them tell that story is really what I get a kick out of. There's 2 days in everybody's life that's like the most important, and one is when you're born, and then the day that you realize why you're born. And as a publicist, as a branding specialist, I get a joy out of helping people identify what that is and then helping them extrapolate and devise a plan on how to give that talent to the world. The downside is it's just a process. It's like dealing with people, dealing with brands, dealing with purpose. It's like a Rubik's Cube. You just have to, look at it from every angle. And in some instances, it works out. It's smooth sailing. It's just like being in the record industry. Some people hit, some people don't. But timing is everything.
Gotcha. So, what's your advice to someone just thinking about jumping in, media, PR, like in that lane, for sure?
I would say the most important thing is any project, and this is applicable to any industry, any entrepreneurial business venture that you take on. Be passionate about it. Know that it's something that you want to do, and it has to be authentic and come from the heart, because most businesses, most ventures, they take time to find success. You're gonna face a lot more rainy days than sunny days. So if you're jumping into publicity, you'll probably deal with a lot more less successful campaigns than positive, but you take those and you learn from them. And take notes, mental notes, write it down, and really create a blueprint and a game plan on how you can apply what has worked and what hasn't worked, to make sure it's applicable and it's successful for the future.
Okay, so tell us, what's next for you, your brand, and your company?
At this point, honestly, we're transitioning from just strictly public relations to more brand development and production. COVID taught us a real lesson about the direction that content creation is going in. So production is definitely on the horizon. But at the end of the day, it's not too much of a stretch from publicity because it's really just telling stories. So the goal is to just help people that are looking to help people really figure out a way to connect with the audience that they're looking to speak to, whether it's self-help books or master classes, if it's events to help people gain footing in pursuing entrepreneurship or whatever their passion is and turning that into a business. That's where we are right now, and I'm really excited about it.
Gotcha. So has there ever been one point, in your career, actually when you just want to give up?
For sure. I would say COVID, man. COVID was a doozy, I think, for a lot of people. It caused you to do a self-check, mental check, and really find innovative ways to continue to, figure out a way to earn a living. I got several calls as soon as COVID took place where people were like, we're canceling contracts and, we scaling back on marketing and so forth and so on. But then quickly that kind of changed because marketing is the front-facing vehicle to get in front of the consumer if you're trying to sell or push anything. So it just, at that moment, it caused me to step back, take several steps back to take several steps forward. But that probably had to be one of the most pivotal points. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, how has your career, affected you, for us getting into relationships, being in relationships or things like that? Because sometimes when people so driven with their career, but they kind of lack in making their partner happy, their kids happy, et cetera, et cetera.
Balance has definitely been one of the areas that I've struggled in. And to your point, anyone that's really, really good or exceptional at something, 9 times out of 10 they're lacking in another area. So it's definitely been a process to find what that balance is, to step back and evaluate areas that you're not excelling in, and really figuring out how to take what you do, who you are, what you're contributing to society, to humanity, and figuring out a way to include everything that you're doing. Include, everybody that's a part of your life that you truly care about. Whether that's a boyfriend, girlfriend, father, mother. It's important, though, that along this journey, that you're finding success is nothing if you can't celebrate it with people that you love. So it's essential that as you do find that path along this journey, that you take the people that you care about and bring them along with you.
Gotcha. And also, last but not least, tell everyone, where can they find you at on social media and just everywhere?
My page is private right now, but my business page is We Are ABM. And then you can log on to abmage.com. And if you need to send us an email or something like that, as simple as jtpublicist@gmail.com.
Nolazine, make them scream. Nolazine, make them scream. Scream. Nolazine, make them scream. You heard me.